All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We are talking about the Houston Texans' narrow victory, 29-27 on the road against the Indianapolis Colts. Those Colts, they came to play. They would not go away. The Houston Texans had a really good football game. We saw something that was lacking last year, or at least, towards the end of the season. I know Devin Singletary came in here, did his thing, but the acquisition of Joe Mixon in the offseason was something that just flew so under the radar. Coming over from the Cincinnati Bengals, obviously, Houston just wanted more consistency. They wanted more reliability. Joe Mixon, also a big-time player. He can also catch a little bit. Joe Mixon is one of the most underrated running backs in the National Football League, some way, somehow. But it was overshadowed because of the additions of Stephon Diggs, Danielle Hunter, C.J. Stroud being C.J. Stroud in his rookie season. I loved the way this defense played. I think the Texans Colts, we were saying it all offseason. We were saying it at the start of last year, and unfortunately AR got injured in week 4. But this is going to be a phenomenal rivalry for years to come. I don't think, regardless of how each of these two teams are looking whenever they meet up next, it's just going to be a close game. These are two really good football games. But Houston, this is a top 5 team, undisputed in my opinion, in the National Football League, even with an extremely young quarterback who has only played a rookie season and 1 game. But welcome back to the channel. Obviously, we're talking about the Houston Texans in today's video. But before we do, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Going to try and ramp up these Texans videos. If we try and get this video to 100 likes, that would mean the absolute world to me. Also, shout out to my boy Swaggy for these clips. I'll link his channel down below. He posts a ton of Texans and Colts content as well. So 29-27. Joe Mixon, folks, the league's leading rusher after getting a career-high 30 carries. He finished with 159 rushing yards. It put him in such a good mood that he declined after the game to take a shot at the team that let him go, the Cincinnati Bengals. He said, "I just want to leave them where they're at, just like where they left me." Whew. He said, another new guy, Stephon Diggs, he ended up catching 2 touchdowns. We'll get to that in just a second. And Nico Collins racked up 117 yards. The Athletic threw them at the number 4 spot in the NFL Power Rankings. I'd probably have Detroit at number 4 and Houston at 5, but nonetheless, I like it. Let's get into this game a little bit more in depth. So, a fascinating football game. First off, Houston's defense did such a good job against the run. Jonathan Taylor, one of the best running backs in the National Football League, and it's not even really close. AR is a freak of nature. He had by far the highlight throw of the week. It will be the highlight throw of the league for probably a little bit. He's such a big-time player. I mean, he really is. But Houston dominated time of possession, 40 minutes to the Colts 20. They had 26 first downs to Indianapolis's 14. They were efficient on 3rd down, going 7 of 14, 2 of 2 on 4th down. They had 417 total yards of offense and only gave up 303 yards for the Indianapolis Colts. They were a perfect 3 for 3 in the red zone. They only had 5 penalties for 30 yards. And most importantly, they won the turnover battle. They did not give up a turnover. They caused one against Anthony Richardson. We'll get to Kalen Bullock, the rookie, in just a second. But C.J. Stroud, 24-32, 234 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Once again, that running back room, completely different than it was at this time last year. They ran as a team 40 times for 213 yards and a touchdown, averaging 5.3 yards per carry. Yes, that is a true statistic. The reason that is important is because the Indianapolis Colts, new addition Latu, it's a really good defensive line. It's actually a really good, underrated, undercover defense in general. They kept it pretty much the same from last year, and they almost made the playoffs with Gardner Minshew. So once again, shout out to the Indianapolis Colts for keeping this, and they never went away. They literally never went away. That 4th quarter was exhilarating. 14 points scored for both teams. But Anthony Richardson on the day, 19-19, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. He also ran 6 times for 56 yards and a touchdown. He is going to be a force to be reckoned with for the foreseeable future. So once again, kind of licking my chops here at the thought of Houston and Indianapolis, that rivalry. We get to see it twice a year, hopefully for a very long time. Our receiving game, we just mentioned Nico Collins, 6 catches for 117 yards. He is coming off his career breakout season from last year. Tank Dell, welcome back from your injury. On 7 targets, he had 3 catches for 40 yards. And then new addition, Stephon Diggs, 6 catches for 33 yards, including 2 touchdowns. I've been loving what I've been hearing from him. He says it feels like family. It feels like a home to him. I do worry sometimes when you have wide receivers with loud personalities, but Stephon Diggs has done everything right since he's gotten into Houston. Seems like he just wanted to no longer be a Buffalo Bill. So let's get into some standouts here. Kamari Lassiter, welcome to the NFL. Derek Stingley. I mean, Stingley's one of those dudes where for some reason, I don't really know what it is, because Houston just, won 10 games. They won a playoff game in embarrassing fashion against the Cleveland Browns. I don't know what it is. People are fully aware that Derek Stingley Jr. is a good cornerback. Like, people know he's one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. But I don't think people watch him and realize just how freaking good this dude is. They lived up to the hype. These 2 cornerbacks, they allowed a combined 20 yards and 0 touchdowns against the Colts offense. Maybe a little bit of hesitation in the safety room, but that's why we're about to talk about Kalen Bullock, the rookie. I think we made a whole video about him, or a main video, Texans video, highlighted Kalen. This guy's a stud, man. I think USC is just kind of littered with studs from last year. He was selected in the 3rd round of the 2024 NFL draft, once again out of USC, made his presence immediately. Kind of actually even reminds me almost of Brian Branch, not necessarily their game styles, but Brian Branch came into the NFL last year, got an interception against Kansas City Chiefs, turned into an immediate freaking stud. And that same thing might be applicable to Kalen Bullock. Now, technically, he's a rookie, or he's not starting, but he played a bunch of football against the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday. And I think he's going to overtake Eric Murray. On the depth chart I'm looking at, he's already overtaken him. So something to keep an eye on. Got a couple of sacks. Mario Edwards, Fatukasi also had a sack. No sacks for Daniel Hunter. No sacks for Will Anderson Jr., but they did not make AR's life easy. Once again, AR, only 9 completions. He only threw it 19 times, and he threw for over 200 freaking yards, but only 9 completions for Anthony Richardson. They dominated the chains. Once again, that time of possession, 40-20, literally 40-20. Both teams started off relatively slow. I watched almost every single football game from this past weekend now, and every game started slow. Like, it's crazy. Unless your team is the New Orleans Saints, or that's the only team that comes up to the top of my head, maybe Minnesota, but that was more second half. Every single team started slow, and it just is a result. Like, they gave up, the Texans gave up a couple of sacks, right? The run game typically is going to be in a lot better of a groove to start off the season, because especially for a team like Houston, since we switched from 4 preseason games to 3 in the regular season from 16 to 17, most of your starters just don't play. Some of them don't even play at all in the preseason. So the offensive line's the glue, and you need chemistry, you need timing, you need stamina, you need it all. So it's just going to take a little bit of time. I have zero concerns with the Houston Texans offensive line, and they obviously did a freaking great job in their rush attack. So that's it for me. Hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. If you guys want more Texans videos, let me know down below. Give me a team grading for the Houston Texans down below. Peace.